Hello viewers, this is Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. I've had requests coming through my feed to read on Roe versus Wade. Will the Supreme Court uphold that law in America? What does that mean for various states now that Alabama has signed legislation into law which is prohibiting abortion? Including for rape and incest victims, which I think is probably the most offensive. Well, it's all offensive, but it's actually, you can follow through with the scenario that if an 11-year-old girl was raped by her father or brother, cousin or uncle, she could not have an abortion, and at that age her life would be in jeopardy delivering perhaps that baby, and under those circumstances she still would not be able to have an abortion. She would die. I think for any female, regardless of their location, seeing this kind of regressive law now coming into play, regardless of where it is quite distressing, quite disturbing, and really, it's it triggers females, it triggers So Alabama. Following that will be Georgia. I think Ohio, is it? And of course, the ultimate aim of this is to bring this before the Supreme Court. You had Trump, when he was campaigning, said, if I get 2 Supreme Court justices on the court, I will challenge Roe versus Wade. And then that brings me to Kavanaugh, who actually said that it was settled law. Would Kavanaugh rule? What's the Supreme Court likely to do if there was a challenge to Roe versus Wade? So this is what people are wondering. So let's have a look at what's behind Alabama's signing what is draconian legislation into law that would see, if you followed through with that scenario that I gave you, that would see a child die rather than provide an abortion under those rape or incest situations. So what is driving this Alabama law here? What are the conditions around it? What do we need to know? Alabama abortion, banning abortions in Alabama, this draconian legislation. What's behind this? Whoops. So we've got something falling out, and we've got a waiting for results here. So it's almost as if this is being done, as I said, for directly to challenge in the Supreme Court, challenge Roe versus Wade in the Supreme Court. Are waiting for results here, suggesting also that there is a plan behind this waiting for results. Now the challenge here is loss. And this is the challenge of people turning their backs and walking away. Now, I feel that there has been such outrage here across America, across the world, really. We've had film companies pulling out of Alabama. This is a regressive law. If states want to live in this way, if they want to cut themselves off from progress and from human rights and the values around human rights, female rights, feminine rights, then they're going to be ostracized, and I feel that this is what is happening here. It's being seen for the it's really a ruse, a very dangerous one. Now the Queen of Wands is the feminine rising. This card came up so often in the midterms when you had so many female representatives come forward. I watched an impassioned speech in the Alabama Parliament today of I think it was a Democratic woman who talked about her loss of several babies through miscarriage, and despite all that loss, despite that heartbreak, I think it was something like 5 babies were lost, including one at 5 months. At the end of the day, she said that she would never vote for legislation like this because it is the woman's right to make those decisions for her body. And how dare the men in the Alabama state parliament make these decisions, and that there will be women who will rise up and take their seats at the next election. And this is what this card is seeming to suggest. Just as you had women coming forward in the midterms, you're going to have women representatives coming forward now, activating coming forward for the 2020 election. Now, what we've got in the past here is the Hanged Man, and I feel this is a deliberate plan here to try and halt Roe versus Wade. So I feel that this, the Republican Party, this is a strategy. As many states as possible to put through this legislation to take it to the Supreme Court. We've got the Knight of Pentacles here. This is reliability. This is patience. This is also money. So again, I'm going back to a deliberate plan. If Donald Trump was talking about this in 2016, this has actually been on the books since then, long before then. And we've got secrets to be revealed here. This has been a coordinated campaign, I feel, a Republican coordinated campaign at the state, to be initiated at the state level and to go toward the Supreme Court. Now, I'm getting a draw here on Kavanaugh, and I'm getting a draw on Trump saying, if I can get to Supreme Court justices approved. How did he know to? How did he know that the justices would be retiring, the existing justices would be retiring, and that he would be able to place 2 there? I feel that there are secrets here to be revealed. Now, at the moment, we've got insecurity, and again, this is coming forward. In my last reading on the asylum seekers, the children in cages, I talked about Noam Chomsky's detailed explanation of what's happening with the Republican Party that particularly resonated to me. And I feel, again, this pro-life movement is both shoring up the Republican base, throwing meat to it, but there's also keeping the donors happy as well. The evangelicals, keeping the religious right who support Trump happy. And also, the donations there. There's this argument over the last couple of days that's been permeating and coming up around the church should be separate from politics. There is that doctrine of separation of power. Churches in Australia, I'm not sure in America, I'd assume it's the same, don't pay taxes because they're not a political organisation. Yet in America, you have these evangelical and Christian churches that are very much aligned, that are very much playing a role in politics. Now, the environment around it, we've got strength and endurance. So while the states and the Republicans are pushing forward this plan, what we have is the resistance here. Now, remember that the resistance mobilized, motivated, inspired, and came forward in the midterms. So that is the environment around. However, we've got the manipulation and also the juggling here. This is the 2019 is a lot different to 2017. People are tired, and they're tired of the manipulation here. We've got the Queen of Swords, though, coming forward, and this is, again, look at the female queens, 2 queens in this reading, suggesting that this will be fought very, very hard. If it does go to the Supreme Court, it will be fought on all fronts. And we've got the celebrating of the women here, the 3 of Cups. suggesting that, well, this, I'm not going to preempt the next reading, but I will ask if Roe and Wade will be overturned. But this is a coming together to fight this on all fronts. And we've got a retreat here, which is suggesting that this plan is unlikely to succeed, but I will read on it. What's hidden from our view is a compromise, decisions and compromises potentially. So it's not as simple, I don't think. Let's have a look at the Supreme Court if it comes to it, and it will, because this is an active plan by the Republican Party to push it through at the state level and then challenge it in the Supreme Court. So let's have a look. We'll give it a good shuffle. I don't want to mix up the energies from the last reading. So if this goes to the Supreme Court, this anti-abortion laws, if it goes to the Supreme Court, will it overturn Roe and Wade? Settled law, existing law, will it overturn Roe and Wade? This anti-abortion Alabama legislation, will it be overturned? Will Roe and Wade be overturned in the Supreme Court? All right, so we've got this could either be Trump, but in this instance, I think this is the Supreme Court justices. This is the Supreme Court ruling. The Page of Wands is the challenge, and it's a David and Goliath battle, isn't it? Look, we've got the Supreme Court now with two new Republican Supreme Court justices now sitting on the Supreme Court, and we've got challenged by this inspirational, questing, Page of Wands, mobilizing, moving forward, driving forward, and that is what we will have. They're the two signifier cards around Roe and Wade. The foundation of the reading is justice, suggesting that this is indeed settled law and that a challenge may not be successful. What's at stake? I won't preempt the outcome, but what is at stake here is justice itself. In the past, we've got things coming forward here, almost like meteorites coming through. These are the Republican plans being launched here in the past, and that's I sort of feel it's like a war game here, and I feel that this was a strategy, and I feel that if this was a warship, the missiles have now been fired, the missiles have been launched. Now, the issue or the potential, what's in the sky here, the potential of the situation is women again unifying to drive back this regressive legislation. And we've got the immediate future, this mobilization, this strength and endurance here. So you're going to be seeing this activation now over the next weeks and months. At the moment, though, this is an inspired plan, and this is an inspired plan on behalf of the Republicans. But by the same token, it is going to be enough to mobilize the resistance once again. Now, the Knight of Pentacles is coming up quite a lot, suggesting reliability, patience in the atmosphere around, but also money. So who is throwing... Okay, this could be suggesting that money will be thrown at this issue. It could become an election issue, a campaign issue, and that could be the case for both sides. The hopes and the fears. It's interesting when you start to see Donald Trump backing off, and he will back off, and the Trump government, the Republicans, start to back off when the weight of this judgment comes at them, and I fear they fear this. By the same token, in the hopes and fears, it's also judgment against. Overturning Roe and Wade is a fear as well. Now, will Roe and Wade be overturned? This is suggesting something ending. It's suggesting rock bottom. It's suggesting the dark night of the soul. We've got it clarified by the Seven of Swords, theft and betrayal. And we've got the deals being made here between the states. Between who? And I'm going to go to the Supreme Court. But what is hidden from our view, which is significant, is actually standing one's ground, defending oneself, and this will take courage and persistence. So I'm going to ask, how will Kavanaugh vote? How will Kavanaugh vote? Because we've got this deals here, deals potentially being made. The foundation of the reading is justice. Brett Kavanaugh. We haven't heard from him in some time, have we? Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh. I'm not even going to call him Justice Kavanaugh. Let's call him Brett Kavanaugh. How will Brett Kavanaugh rule? How will Brett Kavanaugh rule? Will he rule to overturn Roe versus Wade? Will Brett Kavanaugh rule to overturn Roe versus Wade? Right, we've got the Ace of Cups suggesting some kind of significant emotion here. And it's also suggesting a new emotional start. Right, it's challenged by the Four of Wands here, which is victory, which is a celebration. Emotional starts challenged by a celebration. New emotional starts challenged by a celebration. It's not even a challenge. What's going on here? We've got the Star of Hope. Got the Queen of Pentacles in the past. Again, I feel that this could be the female judges on the Supreme Court. Got the Knight of Cups, some kind of office seduction here. Brett Kavanaugh, loss. The Three of Cups, loss here and heartache for Kavanaugh. How will he rule? The Ace of Wands is the situation at the moment. It's linking with the issue here, the offer, Brett Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court, the offer of that position and the new starts here. And the environment around is justice. Justice around these new starts. There's something else coming through here, viewers. I feel that there's an issue here with Kavanaugh. The hopes and the fears, we've got the all-seeing woman here. If he were to rule against Roe versus Wade with his history, would there not be some kind of conflict here? I know he has to go before, there's something else. He's actually being examined here, his conduct at the hearing. It's not over yet here with him. And the outcome here is again the Ten of Swords, which came up in the last reading. When I see this now, I'm wondering if this is a no, that it won't be, that it will not, Roe versus Wade will not be overturned. It will be the end of the Republican plan. However, we've got, clarifying it, we've got the Three of Wands, which is expansion here of a plan, and we've got the Nine of Cups. This could be representing Trump, but it also could be representing miracles and the wish card. What's hidden from our view? Things coming forward again from the states so very, very quickly. There's an issue here with Kavanaugh and Kavanaugh ruling on Roe versus Wade. I'm wondering why this is coming up in this reading. Something to do with Kavanaugh and the way that he was elected to the Supreme Court. If he were to rule on this with his history of an allegation of rape, So I'm going to ask that because that's what's come forward in this reading. Would Kavanagh's past with Christine Blasey Ford present a conflict of interest here from him ruling here or being involved in some way? Is there something hidden that we don't know about Kavanaugh and Kavanagh's future here on the Supreme Court that would impact on him ruling on Roe versus Wade? Roe versus Wade. How? Yeah. What's hidden from our view in relation to Kavanaugh and Roe versus Wade? I'm feeling that there's something hidden from our view. We've got the Page of Pentacles here, which is suggesting some kind of money news here. And we've got the anxiety and the stress here. What's going on here? Is there some kind of news to come out? An offer was made in relation to Kavanaugh. We've got the Queen of Pentacles suggesting this is a woman in some way. I feel this is a woman judge or a woman involved in the law. We've got the deals being made here. We've got the Lovers again coming up. What's hidden from our view is money given for the work. There's an issue around Kavanaugh that before we even get to Roe versus Wade, there's an issue around Kavanaugh actually ruling on a challenge to Roe versus Wade. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I can only read the cards, but it's suggesting that between now and then something is going to come out, which is going to be a revelation here, and it's to do with money. And it's to do with the offer that was made to Kavanaugh. Again, going back to Trump saying, if I can get to 2 Supreme Court justices, how did he know who was retiring? How did he know there would be 2 in his term? And then we go back to Anthony Kennedy and his sudden retirement, and his son being the account manager for Trump at Deutsche Bank. There's more coming out here. There's more coming out before we get to this. So in some way, I feel this story is yet to be revealed. Kavanaugh and his potential ruling on Roe versus Wade. There's something else there with Kavanaugh. I'm not sure what it is, but potentially some news coming forward in relation to his nomination. Interesting. All right. What's hidden from our view here as I was shuffling a new emotional starts here? Wouldn't it be vindication if Kavanaugh was caught in any way, whether it was through a professional association, the Bar Association, around his testimony in some way if he was caught and he could not rule on Roe versus Wade, that would be justice, and of course the justice card came up there. So let's see how destiny will play out. Let's see how potentially the divine comes into this situation, because I feel that that taking away that 11-year-old's rights to life, it won't be allowed to play out. I feel that there will be something that will stop that eventual challenge there at the Supreme Court level. We'll see what it is. Thank you for tuning in, viewers.